Hi everybody, I'm Michael. This is a review for Nancy Drew Secrets Can Kill Remastered, which was released in between games number 22 and 23 of the Nancy Drew series. It's a remake of the first game. It is an okay remake. You know, if you were telling me, hey, we're remaking the first Nancy Drew game, I'd be great. Here's a list of 20 things which are wrong with the game that need to be improved. And it feels like the remake addressed like 2 of the problems and then ignored everything else and just left everything the same. So it does have a lot of the same problems as the original game, which is it's incredibly short, relies too much on brain teasers, which are scattered throughout the scenery, as opposed to actual character interaction, actual story, and puzzles. Yeah. One thing they did fix was the end of the game. The culprit at the end of the original game is terrible. Just some random person who came out of the middle of nowhere. This game has a different culprit. There is a really funny cameo appearance by the culprit from the original game. That was really good, too. Some of the things they changed in the remake, it felt like they weren't changing on purpose because they wanted to be different. It felt like, you know, more of the, what do you call it, the more questionable things in the original game. Like, in the original game, one puzzle, you break into the teacher's lounge by smashing through a window with a glass cutter. It felt like they decided to cut that out of this version of the game just because that was too violent. Instead, it's replaced with a puzzle of setting off a soda machine alarm, which, okay, makes sense. But, you know, I wish they'd, like, included a new puzzle for the sake of having a new puzzle rather than, well, we're just getting rid of something that's questionable in the original game. In the same way, Daryl was a drug runner in the original game. Well, they get rid of that because they don't want references to drugs in the game. Instead, he's selling top secret military information. Because, of course, he has access to that. What? That's weird. They did change the culprit, and yeah, that's good. So we sort of get like an additional puzzle at the end of stopping the culprit. And again, that feels like, well, in the original game, you stopped the culprit by using a gun. They didn't want Nancy using a gun, so they got rid of that puzzle. You know, does that make sense? Does that complaint make sense? They just tried to clean up the game and make it more G-rated, and it feels like that was more of the motivation behind changing some elements of the game, as opposed to actually doing things differently to try to improve things. Because other than that, they try to copy the original game, as much as possible. That's also a problem with the dialogue, because the dialogue in the first game was kind of bad, and they keep to most of the same dialogue, which I'm like, ugh. They got new voices for 3 of the 4 characters. It's like, you guys could have done so much more and new, different dialogue because you've got new actors, but nope, let's just have them repeat the old lines. Okay, fine, whatever. Couldn't they have just reused the original voice recordings if that's the case? So most of the characters are the same. Daryl's the one who's changed the most. He was Nancy's police contact in the original. In this game, he's not. So he really has nothing to do. He feels far more removed from the story compared to everybody else. Daryl, he looks kind of hideous. The graphics for the other characters look fine. He looks pretty hideous, I'm sorry. And all he does is make weird comments and has awkward pauses. Just doesn't work. He had so much more personality in the original. I feel bad for Daryl. They introduced a new character, who is Detective Beach, who's this really nerdy guy with glasses and a green striped shirt. And he's kind of fun. I mean, gives you something to do inside of Maxine's. I do love this game because I won a contest to be in this game. Her Interactive was having like a yearbook style photo contest where they wanted to put people's pictures in the game. And I won the contest. I was one of the 10 or 12 randomly selected winners. To this day, I'm still a little suspicious in the back of my mind. It's like, did I really get picked at random, or did they purposely pick me because they've seen my YouTube videos and they knew who I was and they wanted to reward me in a sense? I don't know. Either way, I'm Mr. September, so my picture's in the game. So I really, really love this game just for that. And I always say it's my favorite game in the Nancy Drew series simply because of that. That makes me give it an 11 out of 10. But if I'm being honest, this game is probably just a minor improvement over the original game. There is that like symbols puzzle towards the end of the game to get a second videotape, which is actually feels like a brand new, different puzzle introduced for this game. That was good. Yeah. But if I'm being honest, it's not that much better than the original. It's probably like 1 point higher than the original. So what, like a 6 out of 10, 5 or 6 out of 10? Yeah, this should have been like twice as long, had way more stuff instead of trying to copy the original as closely as possible. I feel like that was this remake's downfall because the original game just had so many problems that needed to be fixed, and the remake basically lets all the problems stand.